just one of our amazing survivors. So, now, we open up the floor to questions. We will do our very best, as we always do and have done in the past, to answer. You will all be aware that we are bound by confidentiality and also bound by the fact that clearly issues are sensitive. But as we always do, we will do our very best to help. So, questions, please.
Put your hand up and get a room mic to you. Sorry. So we start here.
Hi, Simon Viger from 5 News. With a few honourable exceptions, it is remarkable that none of these allegations were in the media for over such a long time, involving so many people. Given the survivors you've spoken to now, can you expand on that? Are you any clearer as to how this was kept out of the media for so long?
Well, I'll have a go. I said during the currency of my remarks that our survivors have been thoroughly let down by society. Thoroughly let down. It's in the public domain that a number of our survivors went to the police. Nothing happened. It's in the public domain that even if prosecutions began to be launched, they'd be met with insufficient evidence. It's in the public domain that threats and abuse to our survivors and countless others who we may never know were effective in some areas and precluded them from speaking out. Do the media have culpability? I don't know. What I do know is in excess of 400 people have engaged with us about this process, citing historical sexual abuse at the hands of Mohammed al-Fayed. Those 400 people are courageous. Many of those would have been willing, I'm sure, to speak out at the time, but were precluded from doing so.
Do you know if there were stories that were going to run that then were shown?
Well, I think we do know publicly. Bruce, you may be able to help on that. But we know publicly that at least one television program, I think on Channel 4, was shut down.
Yeah, I think that the media, in fairness, who I would say have been absolutely fantastic in supporting these ladies this time around. I think that they faced an awful lot of pressure, both from Fayed and his lawyers, and that although, you could argue, well, I wish they'd been a bit braver and this would have helped. In the face of so many complaints being made to the police that haven't been pursued, I mean, I can speak very frankly and say I got quite fed up with hearing from these desperately sad cases the survivors have said to me when I'm talking to them about the times that they've made complaints to the police and nothing happened. It's hardly surprising that they got despondent in what they were trying to do and why the media felt probably restricted in what they could say.
I think also it's important to remember, excuse me, that many of our survivors were absolutely petrified, and many of them are still petrified today, and that's the overarching background to many of the women that we represent. They were effectively silenced silenced by a security team that was enforced by Harrods and Mohammed Al-Fayed. And that fear prevails with many of those women to this very day. When they're walking their dog, they're having flashbacks, they're looking over their shoulder, because they had nowhere to turn, nobody to go to. Even if they did go to the police, we know that some of them were not listened to. And so we must not forget that overarching fear that was there for them. What are you to do in that situation?
And so I'm just something to add, which may assist. The documentary, the BBC documentary we aired on the 19th of September, deals very well, if I may say so, with Vanity Fair's efforts to try and expose the monster that was fired, and the obstacles that they faced, which were, sad to say, symbols of the time. We also have, don't we, someone whose name cropped up in the Fulham report in respect of Ronnie's abuse, Max Clifford, who was also on the documentary, who was responsible at the time for killing stories that didn't suit the narrative. So, to reiterate the points that have been made by my colleagues, there was nowhere to go. You couldn't go to HR in Harrods because he was HR. You couldn't go to the media because he had powerful friends and influencers. And very, very sadly, it doesn't seem as if you go to the police.
Next question, please.